Muzzer Radio's Poetry Pieces. Uncle Jim. It was just before a thunderstorm. I could feel it in the air. I couldn't sleep, so I was sitting in my easy chair. I heard the first faint rumble as someone knocked upon my door. Who could that be this time of night? And then my clock struck 4. I went to open up the door, but kept it on the chain. A voice said, "Sorry to trouble you," as it began to rain. "I really wouldn't blame you if you don't let me in, but I'm a long-lost relative. Do you remember your Uncle Jim?" Fumbling with the chain, I opened it with delight. "Uncle Jim, heavens above, you gave me such a fright." Though he was all soaking wet, we both had such a hug. I went to make a coffee and handed him a mug. Uncle Jim and I years ago really were so close, and now he's turned up out of the blue, appearing like some ghost. I'm sorry to have called on you this awkward time of day, but I've received some real bad news and have to go away. So if you could come round and visit and comfort your Auntie Jill, for she has learnt your Uncle Jim is terminally ill. Now we sat there chatting for about another hour. Then we both said our goodbyes and I went up for a shower. After having breakfast, I jumped into my car. It wasn't hard to find a place. He'd told me where they are. I threw my arms round Auntie Jill and said I'd come to visit them. She cried and told me I'm too late. Jim died at 4 a.m. The murder. She was listening to her Amazon Echo while sitting with a glass of Prosecco. She was waiting for her Gus, who drove a 27 bus. He texted and said, "I'm just leaving the depot." That afternoon she'd been entertaining a plumber that was fixing their draining. She said, "Now you better scat, but don't forget your hat. By the looks of it out there, it has been raining." Now Gus, he couldn't sleep at all that night. He had his suspicions things weren't right. He was planning a trap to give the plumber a little slap and fill the so-called love of his with fright. To exercise this play-off, he would secretly take a day off, but make out he was working a late shift. He was careful not to row to deceive the little cow. At all costs, he must avoid a lover's tiff. The plumber went by the name of Frank, and he was simply built like a tank. The man was all muscle and no stranger to a tussle, and many a broken bone had him to thank. The day had come for Gus to work his plan. It's time to face his rival, man to man. He must take them by surprise and hit him straight between the eyes, and do it really quickly if he can. He quietly slipped back into the house and murmured, "Now I'll catch the flipping little louse." He could hear them on the bed and said, "This moron is now dead," and crept into the kitchen like a mouse. He flew into the bedroom with a knife and dived at Frank, but missed and got his wife, and pulling out the blade, knowing the error he had made, proceeded to take his own life. Now Frank, he was arrested by and by. The allegations that were made he did deny. The forensics never fitted, so in court he was acquitted. And after all, the plumber never told a lie.